Hello, this is Father Louis Scurti with Friends of the Word, introducing once again a very dear friend, Dr. Karen Demsey of William Paterson University Music Department. Welcome, Karen.
Thank you so much for having me. Thanks.
Each time you hear the opening credits and the closing credits of the Friends of the Word programs, you hear music in the background, and the music is from Uptown Flutes. Karen is a member of Uptown Flutes, which is a flute group. Octet?
Yes.
Group? Okay,
Yes.
an octet. And I've been given permission by Karen on behalf of Uptown Flutes to use that music and different selections of this particular album, Streaming Dreams, that opens and closes our show. It's just very, very appropriate intro music. But now I want you to know where it comes from. It's not just like vague elevator music. It's a person. Okay, Karen.
And may I say thank you so much for using our music. It's wonderful.
We're honored.
Thank you.
Karen has been teaching at William Paterson. I'm going to let Karen give a little overview. But today's show, I want to focus on your travels. Where have you performed around the world and locally, but around the world? Because you and I are travel buddies.
Yes.
We share in the fall. We share where were we this summer?
Yes, exactly. Our travel notes and our photos.
Yes,
and I love it. I love it. And I've received many very useful travel tips from you as well.
Thank you.
I'm very fortunate in that I've been able to do concert tours literally around the world. In 2008, a William Paterson University sponsored trip to China brought a group of students and faculty first to Beijing. Then we traveled down the eastern coast of China. We visited various music schools and universities to further establish exchange programs and affiliations. In Nanjing. Nanjing has a wonderful arts institute. Nanjing Arts Institute is very difficult to get into. It's highly competitive. It's similar to Juilliard, the Juilliard School of Music. And we met some wonderful students there and had sessions with them. We went on to Hangzhou, which is absolutely gorgeous. The lake there is absolutely beautiful.
Yeah.
And to the university there and met with students there. We played concerts at
And you performed each place?
Each one of these places.
Wow.
And we ended up in Shanghai. And it was just a fabulous trip, just a wonderful trip. And when you travel, not as a tourist, but as an ambassador for your music and for your university, of course, you are meeting people in a very different situation, not just merchants and
your peers,
restaurant owners and so on. You're meeting colleagues, you're meeting students and so on. Our students bonded literally with many of the students there. It was a wonderful experience. So that was one trip.
And just to stay with China, some Chinese music is very flutish. I don't know the correct terminology.
Oh, yes.
But really, I mean, you hear Chinese music, especially performed there in different venues.
Yes.
Is it a flute that they use?
Many different types of flutes.
Okay.
There are many various shapes and sizes of Chinese flutes, pipes. There are even, in fact, I bought a wonderful clay flute. It looks like a pear, and it has a little opening at the top, beautiful inscriptions along the side, and carvings of bamboo shoots and so on and so forth. And you blow across the top, and there are little holes along the side. And it was from a street vendor, and he knew a little bit of English. I knew a little bit of Chinese, and enough so that we could communicate. And I pointed to the flute, and he said, in other words, he said, no, you won't be able to play it.
Right.
Difficult.
Oh, he didn't know he was talking to
And
I love it.
I picked it up, and I started playing. He said, I said, yes, I'm a flutist. And those are such wonderful connections
That's
to make when you
great.
really
That's
connect on a personal
wonderful.
level. But I've been very fortunate to do concert tours with a group called the International Flute Orchestra. And we have been to the Netherlands, Belgium,
Oh,
Germany,
right.
Spain, Turkey, Croatia, Slovenia.
Wow.
It's just been a wonderful experience.
Almost a
So
little more than I
I doubt that
have.
very, very much. But it's an annual thing. We meet
That's
at
great.
the start of the tour for 3 days of very intensive
Mm-hmm.
rehearsals, and they really are marathons. But we're all
Yeah.
professionals, and we all know what we're doing, and we have had the parts, the music parts, ahead of time. So we
Right.
come ready to hit
Is it by
the ground.
invitation that you go to these places, or
Yes,
who organizes it?
yes. There is a wonderful travel agency that organizes these tours for us, and the person who is the original founder of this group
Mm-hmm.
also makes sure, this is very interesting, she makes sure that, her name is Nancy Clue, and just the most wonderful spirit,
Great.
just very generous, open heart. And she makes sure that on each one of these tours, regardless of the countries we're going to visit, that we at least once have contact with a music school,
Good.
and that we collaborate
Good.
so that the students play with us.
Oh,
And we have a chance then to talk with them, to
that's
coach them a bit, and then we
wonderful.
perform that evening
Yes.
with the students playing right along next
Oh,
to us,
that's
sitting next to us.
so from the inside. I mean, that's
Yes,
it. You're not like
yes.
you're not a tourist. You're inside. That's
Exactly,
great.
exactly. It's
That is.
absolutely wonderful. It's
Tell me, how many kinds of flutes are there? And is that correct terminology? Number of flutes?
yes. Well, there are many different kinds of flutes made of various materials, but in the Western canon of flute music, typically you have the piccolo, which is about that long,
Okay.
so very high pitched. The fife is a close cousin to the piccolo. You have the C flute, which of course is the most familiar
And there's a C flute.
in the flute family. You have an alto flute, which is larger. It's a larger tube and longer, so it's a lower
Mm,
sound. But it's not just lower in pitch; it also has a different tone color to it,
interesting.
kind of a almost a smoky color. It's very mellow, really
It's
beautiful.
beautiful to hear you describe music in color. That's a
Oh,
smoky color. I
oh,
love that.
musicians
I
think
love
of
that.
colors all the time.
That's
There
great.
is a bass flute that is actually so long that it has to curve back on itself in order for you to be able to reach
Oh,
the
that's
mechanisms, the
right.
keys.
Interesting.
I actually did see a straight bass flute one time. The Budapest Symphony Orchestra had a bass flute that was just a straight line, and it had been custom built so that when the player pushed down the keys up here,
Right.
way down here, a lever went,
Really? That's
and it was so
wild.
long and heavy that he actually had to have a little tripod
Oh,
stand on
help
the
you.
end of it,
Yeah,
right,
yeah.
so that he could support it. But
That's
generally, they're
great.
curved. There are actually lower flutes too, bigger,
Really?
larger, and
How
lower
many do you
flutes.
play?
I play all of them
Oh,
actually.
really? That's
Yes,
great.
I
Yeah, you
do.
have quite a
I
collection then.
do. Yes, I do. Yes,
Wow,
yes,
that's
I do.
fantastic.
Yeah, yeah.
Does your daughter play?
She does. She started on violin, and I have to tell you a story about my daughter Laura starting on violin.
She's so talented.
Oh,
Anyway.
thank you. She's always loved music. She actually, for her French took hold in middle school, I think. So she's now doing a master's in French linguistics at Indiana University.
God
But
bless her.
music has always been
Good,
in her
good,
life and will
good.
continue to be. She's playing in the concert band at Indiana University.
And your husband too, a
Yes.
musician. Okay,
Yes,
at William
yes,
Paterson
yes. My
University.
husband David runs the jazz studies program at William
Right,
Paterson. We've
right.
both been there we're just starting our 23rd year. I can hardly believe I'm saying that because when you love what you do, it goes by very, very fast indeed.
Exactly.
But my daughter Laura plays flute and violin. She started on violin. And when she was just starting out, I think she was about 10 years old, she was taking lessons. And I had shall we say, less than pleasant experience with my mother trying to teach me piano.
Oh.
And I remembered that very well. And we both agreed. It was a mutual decision. This isn't working. Let's get you a piano teacher. So I thought, all right, hands off. I'm not going to interfere. She has a violin teacher. I'm not going to interfere. But I play a little violin. And one time when she was practicing in the living room, I walked by and I saw that her hand position was a little awkward. And I thought, well, I'll just make this tiny suggestion. So I said, Laura, if you just put your hand this way instead of this way, you'll actually be more comfortable playing. And she put down the bow and she put down the violin and she looked at me and she said, Mommy, if I wanted to be comfortable, I'd be on that sofa reading a book.
Great. I love it.
So once again, the idea of the musician as athlete.
Right.
But soon after that, she took up the flute as well, and that's become her instrument of choice.
Isn't that
so
great?
yeah, and she loves it.
Performing, or is it just a? I don't mean
Performing,
just, but a hobby. Or does
it's
she
a
perform?
hobby. It's a hobby, but she
That's
she
wonderful.
did her undergraduate at SUNY Binghamton. She was in the choir and in the concert band
I think we
playing
all need that.
playing flute. Yes, loved it. And now
That's
at Indiana
wonderful.
University, she's in the concert band and loves it.
This
So.
has been wonderful. We went from the universal, the international, to the particular, the family. And I'm here with Dr. Karen Demsey, faculty member, William Paterson University. Her husband, as she mentioned, Dr. David Demsey is also William Paterson jazz musician, director, right?
It is a ministry of sorts.
And it's a ministry, good.
It really is.
I hope you've enjoyed the shows. This is the third of three of them that we've had with Karen, and the second when she performed. So if you're interested in hearing Karen, besides going to Streaming Dreams of Uptown Flutes, you can go to our previous shows. Once more, just give our audience the site.
Uptownflutes.com, and you can learn about our concerts coming up, all about our 4 CDs, and information about our members of Uptown Flutes. Uptownflutes.com.
Thank you very much.
Thank
and
you
you,
so
Karen.
much.
God bless you.
It's been a
and
pleasure.
Let me hear from you. Give me your comments and questions. Father Lou Scurti at hotmail.com. God bless you.